Okay, Ruksha, please start.
आगे लोग.
Yes.
Okay,
First,
sir.
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so good morning to all and
Good
welcome
morning, sir.
back. Welcome back.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Good
morning.
morning,
Good
sir.
morning. Good morning to all. Good morning to all in one go. So today I'm going to discuss about group counseling and other counseling approaches. So this will be about group counseling, then transactional analysis, then existential approach, then Indian psychotherapy and counseling. Almost we will cover all these topics one by one. And group counseling, before I start this topic about group counseling, you must know the difference between guidance and counseling. You know, most of the universities have started guidance and counseling diploma initially long back, and now there are a lot of concepts have changed about guidance and counseling. So different names, different nomenclature of the diplomas have been given. So you must know the difference between the guidance and the counseling. So the guidance, I'm differentiating the guidance and the counseling. You should know, anybody can ask you if you are students of counseling and family therapy. So this is basic concepts to understand the difference between guidance and counseling. So the term guidance is an explicit directions given by an informed person regarding any object. It is a specific directions given by an informed person regarding any subject. So this is a direction. Guidance is a direction. Career guidance, for example, some informed person, that means some expert, will give you certain advice, right? Certain directions. So this is direction. Then this depend on yourself to go or not to go according to the direction given by the informed person, given by the expert person. So guidance is a direction. And on the other hand, counseling is more dynamic. Its aim is the solution of the client's problem. Now, this is the difference. Now, in guidance, you have just given the direction and your job is over, right? Whether the client solve the problem or not solve the problem, still facing the problem or not, this is not the question. But in counseling, it is a more dynamic, it is more vibrant, it is more useful in terms of the aim to solve the client's problem. That means a client reported to you with a problem. In counseling, we have to make sure that the client's problem has been sorted out. Now, we are discussing the counseling, for example, and counseling in specific reference to the group counseling and other counseling, for example. So in group counseling, you must know the characteristics of the counseling. What the characteristics of the counseling is. And because I'm starting from the very beginning, you must know the difference between guidance counseling, and you must know the difference, what the characteristics, what the traits, what the features, what the viewpoints of the counseling. That first number is, it is a process. Counseling is a process. You have to sort out the problem, so it takes time, and when it takes a time, it is a process. Continue. It's not an activity. So counseling is usually for normal people with problems. Normal people, usually for normal people. I am telling you why it is a normal people. You cannot give the counseling to the abnormal people? No, you cannot give. Right? You give the psychotherapy to the abnormal people, not the counseling. So counseling is just for the normal people only. I told you the difference between psychotherapy and counseling also, counseling and guidance also. Counseling is related to adjustmental disorders, behavioral disorder, not behavioral disorder, but the adjustmental disorders, right? Obesity, for example, marital dispute, for example. So you go for the counseling, but psychotherapy, you go for the behavioral disorders, psychological disorders, mental disorders, right? So counseling is usually given to the normal people with a problem. Problem may be from any daily life activities. The third characteristics of the counseling is it is essentially a dynamic interaction between the client and the counselor. Dynamic है. The relationship between dynamic interaction, relationship based interaction. Dynamic interaction means relationship based interaction between the client and the counselor. Relationship, that means the client and the counselor to make understanding, to develop the rapport, and only then it can be called a dynamic interaction. Client is expected to frank and forthright in his approach. This characteristic is indicating that client must be open up with the counselor. Until he or she will not be open up, counselor will not help you to solve the problem. Next, characteristics of the counseling is the duty of the counselors to keep confidentiality regarding the client. Whenever we people are doing any psychological survey, any psychological testing, any psychological treatment, for example, this is our ethics. Ethically, we are bound to retain the confidentiality about the client's history, client situations, client case. We have to make assured to the client that your detailed informations will remain confidential. This is another characteristics of counseling. Next characteristics is counselor is to show warmth and sympathy while listening to the client's problem. बहुत प्यार से और सिंपैथेटिकली आपने उनको सुनना है, तो लगेगा कि हाँ एक काउंसलर एक्चुअल में काउंसलर की कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स के पैरामीटर को पूरा करता है, राइट? सो द वार्मथ and sympathetic listening is another characteristics of a counselor. The next, counselor is expected to be non-judgmental, non-critical. आपने क्रिटिसाइज नहीं करना है. एक अल्कोहलिक है या फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक कोई घर में डिस्प्यूट या फॉर एग्जाम्पल कोई बिहेवियरल ओबेसिटी का क्लाइंट है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल ओबेसिटी क्लाइंट में उसको आपने क्रिटिसाइज नहीं करना, तेरे को ये नहीं होता, तो इतने मोटे हो गए हो, आपको ये नहीं करना चाहिए, ये नहीं करना चाहिए. डोंट क्रिटिसाइज, राइट? जजमेंट नहीं देना आपने कुछ उसके बारे में. इफ यू आर fulfilling this parameter, you being non-judgmental and non-critical to the client, then you are fulfilling the eligibility or the services of the counselors. The relationship between the client and the counselor is expected to be genuine होना चाहिए. It should not be biased. The relationship between the client and the counselor should be genuine, problem based, problem focused. It should not be biased. Counseling usually works at the level of rapport and not at the level of transference. आपने rapport build up करना, transference नहीं करनी, right? It should be based completely on the rapport related issues you have with your client. Next, client's conscious motives are explored rather than unconscious motives. Client's conscious motives जो होगा वो एक्सप्लोरेशन का होगा, ना कि अनकॉन्शियस मोटिव्स को लेके चलेगा. अगर क्लाइंट के अंदर कोई अनकॉन्शियस मोटिव है तो दैट मीन्स द क्लाइंट इज नॉट मोटिवेटेड, नॉट इंक्लाइंड टू सीक योर काउंसलिंग सर्विसेज. सो काउंसलिंग particularly if we discuss the specific reference to the Indian context, counseling, you know, basically psychology is a Western output. It started in Western countries and we followed the Western countries. So counseling in the Indian context, इंडिया में अगर हम काउंसलिंग की बात करते हैं, यूजुअली यहाँ पे हम माता पिता गुरु और देविया देवता जो लोग हैं, मदर फादर टीचर्स और द गॉड, remind the youngsters not only of the agent of counseling but also of the priority as to all should be impart counseling at various stages of life. So it means, एक second, move here. So counseling in Indian context, we think elders, especially parents and teachers, thought that imparting counseling in the form of advice and guidance was one of their fundamental and eternal duty. sacred duty. Usually the teachers and the parents, they remain the counselor of their children. And in Indian traditions, usually mother, father, teachers in God, they have remained the symbolized counselor. And they are the pillars of the counseling in Indian context. So, origin of counseling movement in India should be naturally traced in the beginning of psychology in India. जब psychology का इंडिया में स्टार्ट हुआ, हम उसको पीछे तक देख सकते हैं कि काउंसलिंग मूवमेंट जो इंडिया में कब, when the psychology beginning of psychology starts in India, only thereafter the counseling movement has also been started in India. It was at the Mysore University in South India. The first chair in psychology was started. Mysore University in South. Perhaps less than a year or so before this, the Calcutta University started a department of psychology with the lecturer as its departmental head. Mysore University and this Calcutta University, last year most probably we have celebrated the 100 years of psychology in India. A big celebration has been organized at Calcutta University. Basically, Calcutta University was the premier institute which has been started the first psychology department in India. Then Mysore University and the applied psychology section of the Calcutta University was established in 1938, for example. So the department applied, I'm telling you applied, it's not psychology. You just don't understand the psychology department. I'm saying 100 years manaya hai 38 में, तो 2038 में तो 100 years बनेगा ना हमारा, ठीक है? So it does not mean that one. So applied section of psychology is different. The department of psychology is different, right? Applied means counseling psychology is applied aspect of psychology, counseling psychology. Clinical psychology is applied aspect of psychology. So the Department of Psychological Services at Patna University was started in 1945. Patna University में psychology department 1945 में start किया. First in Calcutta and later in Bombay, followed by Bombay. Calcutta में सबसे पहले voluntary private agencies have started to provide the guidance on the to the people. First Calcutta, then the Bombay. Their NGOs or the private voluntary organizations have been came forward to provide the guidance to the client. Counseling was recognized as an important service in India as early as 1938, when Acharya Narendra Dev Committee underlined the importance of counseling and guidance in education. 1938 almost. The importance of counseling was recognized by the Acharya Narendra Dev Committee in 1938 that there is a need of guidance and counseling in education setup in India. So this is about the counseling, origin of counseling in India, or the Indian movement in counseling or psychology, for example. Now I am going little further about the topic. This is a group counseling, right? My topic is a group counseling. And group, you know what is a group. All you people know the meaning of group, and group means two or more than two people can be called a group. And group can be having varieties of types, varieties of characteristics, and varieties of functions to be performed by the group. So the group, we can summarize the meaning of group. It's two or more than two people. You take the example of a family. It's a primary group. And as we are all are born in family, it is our extended family or joint family or our community or our society. Basically, we are the integral part of that one, right? So we can go for primary and the secondary group. Primary is your family and peer group is your secondary, right? Primary is family and your school is your secondary, right? So group counseling, you mean to say, first we have to understand the concepts of the group. So what are the objectives of the group counseling? Group counseling, general principles in group counseling, to think about the welfare of the group, to understand the structure of the group for therapeutic purpose, to develop the depth knowledge and skill for group counseling, and apply theme and concepts to learn more about the group. Group counseling help people to change their feeling, to change their thought, change their behavior, construct emotions effectively is the main purpose of the group counseling. And the same purpose of the counseling is for individual. There is two types of counseling I'm telling you, group counseling and the individual counseling. Both are having to help the individual to support them in terms of feeling, thought, and behavior, and their emotional affectivity. We can use the group counseling in a different setting. And we call a group counseling, obviously we are applying a group counseling for a therapeutic intervention. Therapy intervention, we have to intervene. And then as a therapy, psychotherapy hai na, psychotherapy is a therapy, counseling is a counseling, but even then this is called a therapeutic counseling, right? So meaning we describe the group, and if when we describe the group, we go for Cooley types of group. Cooley is a name of sociologist cum psychologist, Cooley, Cooley. Cooley. He or she has described two types of group. So Sigmund Freud has two types of group. Number one is primary, number two is secondary. Sigmund Freud group psychology concerns with individual man as a member of a race, of a nation, of a caste, or a profession, or institution. So group counseling as per or group psychology is, we can explain in terms of the individual as a human being, the part of a particular group. So group psychology or group counseling automatically related to individual because the individual is the part of the group. We can differentiate between the group and the crowd also. Crowds having no direction, no leadership, but in group we have leadership and we have direction, right? So crowd is also a group of people, but there is a lot of difference between these two, crowd and the group. Crowd directionless, leaderless, and the aimless. कोई aim नहीं होता crowd का, but group is a with direction, with a leader, and with a specific aim, right? So the group mind, group psychology, this McDougall 1920 MC capital DOUGALL, group mind, described about the concepts of group mind. Group process on organizations at all and described as a group. And McDougall believes that when human beings come together, this is called group mind. So types of group, we can go by religious group, we can go by region group, region. We can go by caste group, community group, kin group, extended family group, school tour group, tuition group, many group, dance group, club, parents, teachers group, training group, lot of types of the group are there. Alcoholic group, tobacco group, drug addiction group, lot of people are there. Then Corey, Corey 1990, explained the types of group to deal with the problem specific to their particular group. Number one, counseling group for children, counseling group for adolescents, counseling group for college students, and counseling group for the elderly, and finally group psychotherapy. So basically group or the counseling group, we can go by age, we can go by their stages. Every stage of a human being is needing a specific counseling. Elderly people need their geriatric counseling, adolescent people need their adolescent counseling or teenage counseling, child counseling, right? Adult counseling or the group counseling, whatever you can describe. Corey 1990, this described the counseling in terms of their stage, their age, accordingly. So then both self-help group and the therapy group emphasize expressing and sharing the emotions. Lakin, L-A-K-I-N, Lakin 1985, that we are to sharing our emotions in a group or as well as at our individual level, right? So in counseling, you have to share the emotions. Adjustmental disorders, a people is failure to adjustment, so he's having a lot of negative emotions. He or she is to share the emotions, right? Then if we can go by the multicultural context also in terms of your counseling. For example, there is a racial discrimination, minority discrimination, gender discrimination. This is a multicultural context in terms of your counseling. If there is a minority discrimination, racial discrimination, or the gender discrimination, any people can be upset with the help of all these discriminations, and they can need a specific counseling to rehabilitate them in a particular community. So counseling, we have ethical issues in counseling. Every group member, ethical issues in our group counseling. Every group members have a right to know the nature and purpose of the group before they join. Suppose you take the one example of an Alcoholic Anonymous group of people, AA. If you ask someone to join Alcoholic Anonymous group, they have the right to ask the purpose of the group. And they have the right, this is ethical issue. You have to explain the purpose of the group before joining, asking them to join the group. And then they have the right to retain their confidentiality. This is an further ethical issues. And responsibility of the group members also include regular circulation of personal informations, regular circulation of the social informations. This is another ethical issue. So you have to regulate, you have to regularly inform the client if you are a member of a particular group. You have to update them with a recent development. So then we move to our next topic, and that is in your skill of a counselor, you must be active in terms of active listening. You must be comfortable in clarification. You must be comfort in क्वेश्चनिंग. क्वेश्चन जो आपने क्लाइंट से पूछना है, क्वेश्चनिंग के बेस पे पूछना है, आराम से पूछना है, ये नहीं कि आप उसके बम्बार्डिंग करते हैं क्वेश्चन पूछते हुए. आप इंटरप्रिटेशन आपने बहुत एक पॉजिटिव एंगल पे इंटरप्रिटेशन दी इन टर्म्स ऑफ फीलिंग, बिहेवियर, इमोशंस के बारे में. आप कन्फ्रंट नहीं करेंगे. You cannot to be confront with the client, right? And empathetically तो होना पड़ेगा. You act as a facilitator there, and to facilitate. Facilitate करेंगे उसको सम्मानित, उसका अगर something is positive you are getting from client, you have to facilitate, you have to motivate him, and similarly you have to facilitate him to go ahead. Or initiating or goal setting is another characteristics, criteria, or ethical consideration of your counseling, for example. Then formation group, for leave it, I'm not going to discuss this, how to go for group formation. Now, after group, I am moving to your leadership. There is another topic in your group counseling, the leadership. And leadership, what is leadership? There is a one Professor Warren Bennis, W-A-R-R-E-N, Warren Bennis, W-A-R-R-E-N, B-E-N-N-I-S, Bennis. He described the leadership as a function of knowing yourself, having a vision that is well communicated. आपके पास vision होगा ना, that vision is to be communicated with the group member. आपका अपना vision है, that is your individual vision. When you share your vision to the group, that become a group vision. Building trust among the members, right? Trust develop करना पड़ेगा, and taking effective action to realize your own leadership potential. Effective leadership की देखनी पड़ेगी आपको, only then you can realize the leadership. Now, Leadership theories, there are leadership theory, great man theory. I'm just explaining in a summarized way. I'm not going in detail about the leadership, because in a group there is a topic, leadership is also. So leadership theory, there is a great man theory and trait theory. Leaders are expected exceptional people born with innate qualities is the main gist of great men theories of leadership. That means leaders are born, not made. Leadership, leaders पैदा होते हैं, वो बनाए नहीं जाते. This is the example of great men theories, right? And then trait theories. Trait theories, that traits or qualities related to leadership are lot of or numerous. Traits are hard to measure. इतनी विशेषताएं हैं, इतनी क्वालिटीज हैं, उनको मापना बहुत मुश्किल होगा. और फॉर एग्जांपल, honesty and integrity is one example of traits of leadership. Honesty and integrity of the leadership is quite difficult to measure. So traits, that means quality or the characteristics. This theory, this group of theories focusing that leaders are to made. They have a specific traits or qualities earned through the societies, acquired through the social interaction. So there are two theories basically of leadership. One is great man theory, another one is great man theory focusing the leaders are born, not made, and the trait theories are focusing on specific characteristics or qualities or the traits of the leaders, that the person who's are having these traits, only he or she is eligible to be the leadership, only he or she can become the leaders. So it's very difficult to measure the leadership traits and skills or the qualities. Now I am just explaining some traits or leadership qualities or characteristics. The first one is adaptable to situation. Any leader who is unadaptive cannot survive for long as a leader. Adaptability is the first trait, first qualities, first characteristics of leadership. Alert to social environment. Vigilant होना चाहिए social environment में leader को, only then he or she can be the leader. So ये trait बता रहा हूं मैं, skill अलग है. Assertive होना चाहिए, cooperative होना चाहिए, dependable होना चाहिए, dominant होना चाहिए. Dominant, that means desire to influence the others. Influencing angle पे dominate होना चाहिए. People लोगों को influence करता रहे. Energetic हो, persistent हो, self confidence हो, tolerant of stress हो, willing to assume responsibility. These are the traits. Now I am telling you the skill of leadership: clever, conceptual skilled, creative, diplomat and tactful, fluent in speaking. किसी भी भाषा में बात करें लेकिन वो fluent होना चाहिए. Knowledgeable होना चाहिए about the task or the job he has to assign to finish. उसके बारे में उसको knowledge होना चाहिए. Then persuasive होना बहुत जरूरी. Persuasiveness is a skill. Socially skilled होना चाहिए. Right? So these are the traits and skills of your leadership. Now there is another concept in your this module that is called TA, transactional analysis. Transactional analysis, I'm telling a group counseling. Group counseling is also a part of leadership also. Leader is working as a counselor. Among the follower, there is a problem, leader is to counsel them. Leader to become a helping agent there, right? And a group, why we describe the group? Because this is a group counseling. We are a part of the group. First, we have to join the group. If I am a counselor, I am to join the group and then I am to go for the counseling there in a group. Before joining the group, I cannot be the part of the counseling. So there are two types of the joining the group: formal joining or informal joining. This will be informal joining. Formal joining नहीं होगा. Sorry, this is a very formal joining. Informal joining नहीं होगा आपका group का. Very informal, very formal you have to join. Informally you are not the part of that group, but formally you are to part of the group. You have to join the group. Only then you can go for counseling. So similarly, leaders, you have a group of people, a group of followers. Wherever the followers facing a problem, you have to be there as a act as a counselor. Then I'm moving to the third component of your group counseling, that is called transactional analysis. We analyze human behavior and communication with the help of transactional analysis. It was developed by Eric Berne, Eric, B for Bombay, ERNE, 1950s. So the objective is to provide better understanding of how people relate to one another so that they may develop improved communication and human relationship. That means the sole aim of transactional analysis to understand the people, to understand one another, so that we can improve our communication, we can develop our communications and human relationship of a group. I'm referring again and again group because we are discussing the group counseling. Transactional analysis, you have to understand the people. And why to understand the people? So that you can communicate at proper level and you can retain your relations with the group proper. This model for explaining why and how people think, act, interact like they do. A model, transactional analysis model, help you to know why people think, act and interact like they do. जैसा वो करते हैं वो ऐसा क्यों करते हैं, वो क्यों ऐसा सोचते हैं, वो ऐसा क्यों करते हैं और ऐसा क्यों अंतःक्रिया करते हैं, इंटरेक्शन करते हैं. ये मॉडल, ये ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस मॉडल आपको हेल्प करता है उसको समझने के लिए कि व्हाई पीपल थिंक, एक्ट एंड इंटरेक्ट. सो ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस is a personality theory which gives us picture of how people are structured psychologically. Psychological makeup हमारा क्या है, how we make up ourselves psychologically. This transactional analysis help you to understand the personality of a specific individual. Then Berne mapping interpersonal relationship to three ego states of the individual involved parent, adult and child state. ये हमारा ईगो स्टेट्स हैं क्योंकि हर स्टेज में एक ईगो जनरेट होता है, चाइल्ड स्टेट में, पेरेंट स्टेट में और adulthood state में. Every individual of these different three stages or three ages having a different role to be there. So transactional analysis is primarily experienced with analysis of self-awareness. Transactional analysis aim, objective is the analysis of self-awareness. Transactional analysis help you to aware yourself, to analyze yourself. And this analysis of ego state. What is ego? Ego is a reality principle, right? As per the Freud. Ego strength. So reality को analyze करना हमने with the help of transactional analysis. Then analysis of transactions. Transactions means one another, how we interact. We have to analyze with the help of transactional analysis. Then script analysis, game analysis, analysis of the like position, all these things are the main aim of your transactional analysis. Then in transactional analysis, we use Johari window, Johari, Johari window, and Johari window में चार तरह के सेल्फ हमारे दिए हुए हैं. सेल्फ नंबर 1, जैसे रोजर का जो कंसेप्ट था ना, सेल्फ एक्चुअलाइजेशन, राइट, सेल्फ एस्टीम, वो वाले सेल्फ की बात कर रहा हूँ कि सेल्फ मीन्स आत्म, स्वयं, हम अपने आप में, दैट इज कॉल्ड सेल्फ. एंड इन टर्म्स ऑफ जोहरी विंडो देयर आर 4 टाइप्स ऑफ सेल्फ. नंबर 1, ओपन सेल्फ. Open self, that means information about yourself that you and others know. This is about open self. And open self, you have some information about yourself, and that information is known to you and others. Then there is a blind self. Blind self, information you don't know, but others know about you. आपको नहीं पता अपने आप के बारे में, but लोगों को पता आपके बारे में. That is called blind self, right? And then hidden self. Information you know about yourself, but others don't know. आपको पता है पर दूसरे लोगों को नहीं पता कि आप कैसे, right? लोग कहते हैं बड़े छुपे रुस्तम हो. दैट इज कॉल्ड मीनिंग ऑफ हिडन सेल्फ. छुपे रुस्तम होना, लोगों को नहीं पता आप क्या हो, बट यू नो योर सेल्फ कि व्हाट यू आर. एंड देन द फोर्थ वन इज अननोन सेल्फ. ना आपको पता है ना दुनिया को पता है कि आप क्या हो, आप कौन. यू आर अ लॉस्ट पर्सन, राइट? सो दिस इज a Johari window. When we coordinate these four type of self, if we focus on the lost self, you don't know about yourself and the society don't know about yourself. So who you are, what is your identity, nobody knows, even you yourself don't know. That means you are a lost person, right? You'll not be nowhere counting in society, nowhere counting in your personal level, for example, right? So automatically, if we are a open self, what am I, and the same is known to the people, then I will be the one of the happiest self person. कहाँ पे प्रॉब्लम आता है? ब्लाइंड और हिडन सेल्फ में प्रॉब्लम आता है जब हमें अपने आप के बारे में नहीं पता, सोसाइटी को पता है, या हमें अपने आप के बारे में पता पर सोसाइटी को नहीं पता है. यहाँ पे दोनों में मिसमैच होता है, तो हमारा एक काउंसलिंग की जरूरत पड़ती है. एक बिहेवियरल और सोशल एडजस्टमेंटल प्रॉब्लम आती है. बिहेवियरल नहीं आएगी, सोशल एडजस्टमेंटल प्रॉब्लम आएगी, जो आगे जाके एक बिहेवियरल प्रॉब्लम में कन्वर्ट हो सकती है अगर उसको टाइम पे ट्रीटमेंट नहीं करेंगे, टाइम पे उसको चेक नहीं करेंगे. सो एडजस्टमेंटल प्रॉब्लम कहाँ पे आएगा? जो कि एडजस्टमेंटल प्रॉब्लम इज द कोर एरिया ऑफ साइकोलॉजी काउंसलिंग, ग्रुप काउंसलिंग और काउंसलिंग. ब्लाइंड सेल्फ में और हिडन सेल्फ में जब ये मैक्सिमम होगा, heightened or blind self and the hidden self will generate a problem, and that problem further help to go to counseling. Transactional analysis is a system of analyzing and understanding human relationship. Transactional analysis was first developed by American psychiatrist, I told you, Eric Berne, and transactional analysis integrates the theories of psychology and psychotherapy because it has elements of psychoanalytic, humanist, and cognitive ideas. ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस को हम साइकोलॉजी में, साइकोथेरेपी में क्यों ऐड करते हैं? क्योंकि इसके जो एलिमेंट्स हैं, ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस के जो एलिमेंट्स हैं, दे आर वेरी मच कोरिलेटेड विद साइकोएनालिटिक, ह्यूमनिस्टिक एंड कॉग्निटिव स्कूल ऑफ साइकोलॉजी, राइट? सो ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस में we use 4 component. Number 1, I am okay and you are okay. ये जोरी विंडो के हिसाब से कर रहे हैं हम. I am okay, you are okay. That is open self. I am okay, you are okay. It means open self. This is the healthiest position about life, and it means that I feel good about myself and that I feel good about others and their competence. मैं और दूसरे लोग अपने आप को बहुत अच्छा समझते हैं because I know about myself, other knows about myself. So this is the healthiest position about the self. If we retain this healthiest position of the self, then there will be no need of individual of the group counseling or psychotherapies to be required there. No need. कहाँ पे जरूरत पड़ता है काउंसलिंग का और साइकोथेरेपी का और काउंसलिंग, ग्रुप काउंसलिंग, इंडिविजुअल काउंसलिंग का? When I am okay, you are not okay. मैं तो ठीक हूँ पर आप ठीक नहीं. मैं ठीक हूँ पर आप ठीक नहीं हो, लेकिन मैं फिर भी ठीक नहीं रह रहा. मैं तो ठीक हूँ, आप ठीक नहीं हो. दैट मीन्स आप ठीक नहीं हो तो वो मुझे भी अफेक्ट कर रहा है. In this position, I feel good about myself, but I see others as damaged or less than. It's usually not help. मैं तो ठीक हूँ पर मुझे डर रहता है कि दूसरे लोग मुझे डैमेज करें. सो मेरा ठीक होना ना होना बराबर हो गया, राइट? I know myself, but others don't know. This is blind self, right? I am okay, you are not okay. This is a blind self, right? I am not okay, you are okay. मैं जानता हूं पर मैं नहीं जानता पर सोसाइटी जानती मेरे बारे में. This is a hidden self. In this position, the person sees himself as the weak partner in relationship, right? And definitely others' life are definitely better than the self. दूसरे लोग ठीक है, मैं खराब हूं, राइट? तो अभी मैं ठीक नहीं रह पा रहा. हिडन ब्लाइंड है ना यहाँ पे, मेरा हिडन सेल्फ. आई एम नॉट ओके, यू आर नॉट ओके. सो दैट मीन्स ना मैं ठीक हूं ना आप ठीक हो. दैट मीन्स कॉल्ड योर अननोन सेल्फ. आई एम नॉट ओके, यू आर नॉट ओके. अननोन सेल्फ, ना मुझे पता मैं क्या हूं, ना मुझे सोसाइटी को पता क्या है, ना मुझे सोसाइटी का पता क्या है, ना मुझे अपने आप के बारे में पता क्या है. दैट इज कॉल्ड योर unknown. That means we lost completely in ourselves and in society, right? So in practical applications of transactional analysis, it can be used in diagnosis and treatment of many types of psychological disorders and provides a method of therapy for individual, couple, families, and group therapy. Now you say, I'm referring to what they are new, families and the group. I told you family is a primary part of the group, primary types of group. And again, I'm using two different words, family and the group. Family counseling is different, group counseling is different. So that's why I'm using all these words. Transactional analysis can be used for the diagnosis and treatment of different types of psychological disorders in terms of your individual, couple, family, or the group. और थेरेप्यूटिक फील्ड से बाहर भी इसका यूज किया जाता है. फॉर एग्जांपल, एजुकेशन में टू हेल्प द टीचर्स टू रिमेन क्लियर कम्युनिकेशंस एंड अप्रोप्रिएट लेवल. एजुकेशन में हम ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस करते हैं, काउंसलिंग में हम करते हैं, कंसल्टेंसी में करते हैं, मैनेजमेंट में भी करते हैं और कम्युनिकेशन में भी करते हैं. सो ट्रांजैक्शनल एनालिसिस इज अ वाइडर एरिया ऑफ एप्लीकेशंस, right? Because this is the applied component. So the application is very wider of your transactional analysis. Transactional analysis we can use beyond therapeutic setup, beyond therapeutic use. Therapy में तो use करते हैं, but उससे बाहर भी use होता है. That means in education we can use, in counseling we can use, in management we can use, and in communication we can use. Communication, right? So now I'm going to the next concepts of your module, that is called existential psychotherapy. Existential psychotherapy is not a specific technique or a set of technique. It is more philosophical in nature. Why philosophical? Because it is completely based on existence of human being. That means existential psychotherapy, existential counseling is a philosophy about human nature. Existential psychotherapy is presupposition can underline any form of therapy, right? So existential psychology, existential psychotherapy, existential counseling is based on the philosophical component of our human nature. Now, Sartre has started, Jean-Paul Sartre, S-A-R-T-R-E, Sartre has started these concepts, and he said, Sartre explained, man is nothing else but what he makes of himself. जो हमने अपने आप को बनाया है ना, उसके अलावा हम कुछ भी नहीं. हमने अपने आप को शेप दिया है. Why I am referring this, हमने अपने आप को बनाया है. That means physically तो हम inherited है, and physically being inherited, बाकी जो भी हमारा हमने अपने आप को बनाया है वो हमने खुद बनाया. What he makes of himself, such is the first principles of existential counseling, existential psychotherapy. So that means what makes of himself, इंसान ने अपने आप को ऐसा क्यों बनाया है, ये existential psychotherapy, existential counseling का पहला प्रिंसिपल है. हम ऐसे क्यों बने, right? So we have not been given any training कि हमने क्या बनना, but we automatically acquire from the society through social learning, imitation, modeling, and observation, and we change ourselves according to that. So the existential terms, the conflict individual experiences are regarding the given of existence. जो हमारा conflict है existence के अंदर, we are existing, but our existence is a conflicted one. Why? Because there is a big gap between the society and the individual. You are existing in society as an individual, right? So there is a big gap. From the existential perspective, conflict is the most fundamental concern at the moment. Conflict है हमारे अंदर, that become the most fundamental concepts of existential counseling. So existential psychotherapy focus on issues central to human existence. Existential psychotherapy, existential counseling focus on the main idea of human existence and the basic concepts of existential counseling, existential school of psychology, existential psychotherapy. तीनों यूज कर रहा हूं, अलग अलग है तीनों. Existential counseling, existential psychotherapy, existential school of psychology. Existential therapy, existential counseling is basically an experiential approach to the therapy because it is based on personal relationship between client and the therapist. Existential, client exist करता है तो therapeutic relations develop होंगे. Therapist exist करता है तो therapeutic relations develop होंगे. When we are not existing, no therapeutic relations. So that means it is based on personal relationship between client and the therapist. Existential counseling stresses personal freedom in deciding on life or on fate. Personal freedom है अपने आप को सिलेक्ट करने में कि हमने क्या बनना है, हमारा कैसा जिंदगी बनेगा. This is our personal freedom to choose. It places primary value on self-awareness. हमने अपने आप को, हम जो भी सिलेक्ट करते कि हमने क्या बनना है, वो सेल्फ अवेयर होके ही हम करते कि हमें क्या सूट करेगा क्या नहीं करेगा, राइट. सो एक्जिस्टेंशियल काउंसलिंग, एक्जिस्टेंशियल थेरेपी हैविंग ए 6 existential prepositions. So number 1, capacity of self-awareness, right. Capacity of self-awareness हमारे अंदर है तो we become more self-oriented, more self-focused, right. और उसके बाद कैपेसिटी ऑफ सेल्फ अवेयरनेस में टेंशन रहेगा. हमें टेंशन क्यों रहेगा कि हम अपने आप को कितना अच्छा सेल्फ अवेयर करते हैं, कितना बुरा सेल्फ अवेयर करते हैं, कितना गैप ऑफ ट्रांजिशन होता है. उसके बेस पे फ्रीडम एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी हमें टेंशंस प्रोवाइड करेगा. हमें कितना फ्रीडम अपने आप को सेल्फ असेसमेंट, सेल्फ अवेयर करने का, कितनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी उसके साथ साथ हमारे साथ आएंगी. ये दोनों चीजें, फ्रीडम एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी हमें टेंशन देगा, राइट. जब फ्रीडम एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी हमें टेंशन देगा अबाउट सेल्फ अवेयरनेस के बारे में, तो हम एक अपने क्रिएटिंग ए सेल्फ आइडेंटिटी, हम अपने एक सेल्फ आइडेंटिटी बनाएंगे कि हाउ वी आर टैकलिंग ऑल फ्रीडम एंड रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज टू जनरेट आवर सेल्फ अवेयरनेस. सो क्रिएटिंग सेल्फ आइडेंटिटी मीन्स एस्टेब्लिशिंग मीनिंगफुल रिलेशनशिप. आपने एक मीनिंगफुल रिलेशंस डेवलप करना है, राइट. एंड मीनिंगफुल रिलेशंस डेवलप करने के बाद वी हैव टू सर्च फॉर मीनिंग, पर्पस, वैल्यूज एंड गोल, राइट. Existential counseling having a 6 existential concepts, properties, perspective, approach or viewpoints. Number 1, capacity for self-awareness. ये हमारी अपनी कैपेसिटी कि हमने कितना अपने आप के बारे में सेल्फ अवेयर होना. You compare yourself with the Buddha, the great Buddha, right? He was fully aware about self, but we are least aware about self. हमें अपने आप के बारे में पता नहीं क्या है. जब हम सेल्फ अवेयर होंगे अपने आप के बारे में, तो हमारी फ्रीडम और हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज हमें टेंशन जनरेट करेंगी, राइट, डिस्कम्फर्ट जनरेट करेंगी। जैसे डिस्कम्फर्ट टेंशन जनरेट होगी तो हम अपने वहाँ पे आइडेंटिटी डेवलप होगी कि हम कितने अवेयर है अपने आप के बारे में। जब आइडेंटिटी अवेयर होगी तो हम एक मीनिंगफुल रिलेशंस डेवलप करेंगे सोसाइटी के साथ, ओनली देन वी हैव आइडेंटिटी। जब मीनिंगफुल रिलेशंस डेवलप हुआ है तो मीनिंगफुल रिलेशंस डेवलप होने के बाद वी आर लुकिंग फॉर मीनिंग, पर्पस, वैल्यूज एंड गोल ऑफ आवर एक्सिस्टेंस। जब ये सब कुछ पता चल जाएगा, मीनिंग, पर्पस, वैल्यूज एंड गोल, देन एक्सेप्टिंग एंजाइटी एज ए कंडीशंस ऑफ लिविंग, तो हम सब कुछ मानने शुरू कर देंगे कि हाँ, टेंशन, एंजाइटी और डिस्कम्फर्ट इज ए कंडीशन ऑफ लिविंग, राइट। एंजाइटी, टेंशन और डिस्कम्फर्ट के साथ जीना एक कंडीशन होता है हमारा, राइट। और जब ये हम एक्सेप्ट कर लेते हैं कि हमारा एक इंटीग्रल पार्ट ऑफ सेल्फ है, एंजाइटी, डिस्कम्फर्ट और टेंशन इज एन इंटीग्रल पार्ट ऑफ सेल्फ, तो हम ऑटोमेटिकली अवेयरनेस ऑफ डेथ एंड नॉन बीइंग की तरफ चले जाएंगे, राइट। We lead to our death and non-being, right? We are human being, but we are leading towards your non-human being, or if we accept anxiety as a condition of integral part of our life, right? So views of human nature in terms of transactional analysis, the capacity of self-awareness, the tension between freedom and responsibility, the creation of an identity, the search of meaning, purpose, and value of life. These are the views, the awareness of death and non-being, as I told you, right? So now, types of group counseling. And types of group counseling, we have guidance group. I'm telling you, पहले तो काउंसलिंग गाइडेंस में हमने डिफरेंशिएट किया है, राइट। एडवाइस दिया जाता है काउंसलिंग गाइडेंस में, और काउंसलिंग में ट्रीटमेंट देते हैं हम लोग, राइट। लेकिन प्रॉब्लम का सोल्यूशन दिखाते हैं काउंसलिंग में। काउंसलिंग ग्रुप हैविंग ए 4 कंपोनेंट। नंबर 1, थेरेपी ग्रुप, सेंसिटिविटी ग्रुप और कोर ग्रुप एंड द गाइडेंस ग्रुप। ये हमारे 4 ग्रुप है काउंसलिंग, राइट। सो काउंसलिंग basically is derived from the counsel, COUNSEL, which is the meaning of counseling as per the word counsel, COUNSEL, counsel. That means to give advice. The meaning counseling, that it is just a kind of help with personal or psychological matters, usually given by a professional. Counselor is someone who give counseling. And counseling, COUNSELEE, counseling, counselor and counselee को हम client बोलते हैं, who is receiving a counseling, right? So how this different from psychotherapy, I told you, and group counseling, it's focused on the complete group. What are the advantages of group counseling? It provides unique environment. इंडिविजुअल में तो इंडिविजुअल काउंसलिंग में आप कई बार बोर हो जाते हैं, एक आदमी को सुन सुन के और वो ओपन अप नहीं हो पा रहा है, राइट। रेजिस्टेंस ब्रेक नहीं कर पा रहा है, यू बिकम फेड अप एज ए काउंसलर देयर। बट ग्रुप काउंसलिंग में प्रोवाइडिंग ए यूनिक एनवायरनमेंट, डिफरेंट लोग होंगे, डिफरेंट क्वेरीज होंगे, डिफरेंट प्रॉब्लम्स होंगी, फॉर एग्जांपल पूरे ग्रुप का। बट आपने एक घर में एक अल्कोहलिक है, पूरा ग्रुप उससे अफेक्टेड है, कोई उस अल्कोहलिक के आगे 100% अगेंस्ट होगा, कुछ उस अल्कोहलिक के कुछ फेवर में होगा, कुछ उस अल्कोहलिक के बारे में न्यूट्रल होगा। सो ग्रुप में से डिफरेंट ओपिनियन, डिफरेंट इन्वॉल्वमेंट मिलेगी आपको। सो इसलिए आपको यूनिक एनवायरनमेंट मिलता है उस ग्रुप में काम करने का। अगर आप एक इंडिविजुअल काउंसलिंग अल्कोहलिक को देते हो, सिर्फ डेली आपको अल्कोहलिक से माथा मारना, अपना इंटरेक्शन करनी है आपने। ग्रुप में डेली यू विल गेट a unique information, unique environment. Or then next advantage of characteristics of group counseling, exploring the issues in depth, right? The group experience gives individuals an opportunity to explore their issues in more depth in a setting which more clearly resembles work, study, social, and family group, right? Work, family, school, and social group. This is an example of your group counseling. Avoiding isolation and loneliness. When you are going in your group counseling, isolation and loneliness तो total वहां से गायब हो जाता है, right? Individual counseling में कई बार isolation, lonely की feeling आती है, clear? But group counseling में there will be no feeling of isolation, no feeling of loneliness. Then highly organized होता है group counseling. इंडिविजुअल काउंसलिंग एट इंडिविजुअल लेवल पे हम कई बार इसको बहुत लाइटली ले लेते हैं, बट जब पूरा ग्रुप होता है तो काउंसलर और क्लाइंट दोनों एक सिंसियरिटी के साथ इन्वॉल्व होते हैं, वहां पे सिंसियर होके, सीरियस होके. और नेक्स्ट स्ट्रेंथ कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स एडवांटेज ऑफ ग्रुप काउंसलिंग इज फीलिंग ऑफ एम्पावरमेंट. आप ग्रुप पूरा फील करता है, ग्रुप का जो इंडिविजुअल मेंबर है ना वो पूरा फील करेगा आई एम एम्पावर्ड as a member of group, right? And the counselor will also empowered कितने बड़े ग्रुप को वो हैंडल कर रहा है, right? So feeling of empowerment, improvement by sensitivity and insight. Group members improve from the sensitivity and insight of the counselors, promoting growth and changes, right? So guidance, almost टाइम मेरा हो गया.
थैंक यू डॉक्टर साहब.
थैंक यू. तो आप लोगों का यहाँ पे जो कंसेप्ट था, इसमें पर्टिकुलरली जो हमने डिस्कस किया है इसके अंदर, ये है आपका स्कूल्स ऑफ काउंसलिंग. स्कूल ऑफ काउंसलिंग में we tried our level best to focus on group counseling and other counseling approach. यूनिट 8. यूनिट 8 में हमने डिस्कस किया है साइकोडायनामिक हम पहले कर चुके थे, कॉग्निटिव हम पहले कर चुके थे, पर्सन सेंट्रल अप्रोच पहले कर चुके थे. सो एक ग्रुप काउंसलिंग एंड अदर काउंसलिंग अप्रोच बची हुई थी, हमने वहां फिनिश किया है. यस प्लीज.
Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. So, first I'd like to say thanks a lot for such a wonderful session you have given us. Many thanks for that. And now I have a doubt in my mind, and may I ask?
You go ahead.
Hello?
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Yes. Thank you. Sir, just now when you were discussing about 4 types of self: open self, blind self, hidden self, and unknown self. Open self, I think it is in our consciousness of mind. Am I right?
Go ahead.
Open self. And then blind self, others know about you, that is we are unconscious.
Go ahead.
But my question is on hidden self. When we hide anything, and what the information we hide, I am not aware, it is in our conscious mind, unconscious mind, or after so long it goes on our unconscious mind.
What you intend to ask here?
I want to intend to, suppose a person has huge amount of hidden self, and in the long run it changed due to inner conflict. They started to behave behavioral problem with everyone around and not aware that they are doing behavioral abnormally. So in such a case, the hidden self, I mean, they hide so many things. The things they hide years after year, and it is just vanished. It does not exist. What they hide year after year, it doesn't exist in reality. They have a confidence about that. And somehow they started to behave abnormally when these hidden perspectives are started to open up in front as a unknown, as a in the society. In such a case, hidden
You are
self.
asking a question, or you are suggesting something?
No, I am asking, hidden self exists on which level of our mind? It is in conscious mind or unconscious mind?
You know, hidden self,
Yes, sir.
hidden self particularly
Yes,
is
sir.
not your part of your conscious mind.
Not a part of our conscious mind.
No, hidden self is not the part of your conscious mind. If you are a completely conscious human being, in
Yes,
terms
sir.
of self and society, you will be
Yes.
totally conscious.
Okay, right. Then when hidden informations are coming out one by one, then what happened? The person will accept them positively or just be puzzled.
It depends on your nature of information you are receiving, right?
Suppose
And
a poor information. Poor
according to the
information.
nature of information you are receiving, and you react
Yes.
accordingly.
And they become impulsive. When they understood something hidden, they hide and it comes out nudely. They become highly impulsive and violent. Then what you are saying, they are in conscious state or unconscious state of mind?
This is your subconscious state of mind.
Subconscious. Thank you, sir. Subconscious. And in such a case, the person should be are not accepting themselves. Am I right? That
Yes.
they hide, it comes out. Now they have nothing to change. It is already happened and started to behave violently, unconsciously. In such a case, what is the solution? Thank you. Please.
Okay, ji. Okay, welcome. Anyone else?
नमस्कार सर, मैं कुलदीप
प्रणाम।
गुलेरिया बोल रहा हूँ।
प्रणाम गुलेरिया जी।
एक जानकारी चाहिए थी सर मेरे को।
सर,
मैंने प्रैक्टिकल वर्क और रिसर्च वर्क अभी शुरू नहीं किया है, सिर्फ आउटलाइन बनाई है, तो इसको मैं कब तक सबमिट कर सकता हूँ? जैसे
गुलेरिया साहब, आप तो पूरी टोपी टापी लगा के पूरी हिमाचल ड्रेस में आ रहे हो।
चलो,
वेरी गुड। हाँ,
मैंने शुरू
प्रैक्टिकल
नहीं किया सर अभी ना ये काम।
तेजपाल जी, इसके बारे में आप बताइए।
हेलो।
हाँ, आपने प्रैक्टिकल अभी शुरू नहीं किया है?
शुरू नहीं किया, मैंने रिसर्च नहीं शुरू किया। मेरा क्या सब नहीं है भाई, एक महीने साल में कंप्लीट करना है।
गुलेरिया साहब, ये गोल्डन चांस था आपको। ये जो कोरोना डिस्काउंट मिल रहा था, स्पेशल ईमेल आई हुई है, और कोरोना डिस्काउंट में कोई भी पेपर में से 3 प्रैक्टिकल आप सबमिट कर सकते हो।
नहीं, मैं कोशिश करूंगा, पर मतलब थोड़ा लेट हो जाएगा। और
कितना लेट हो जाएगा?
मतलब जून लास्ट तक हो जाएगा
भाई। 15 जून तक तो लॉक किया इन्होंने। 15 जून के बाद देखेंगे वो क्या पोजीशन होगा।
नहीं तो चलो, मैं बाद में सबमिट कर लूंगा, तो चलो अगले साल के लिए कंसीडर हो
वो
जाएगा।
कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, कभी भी सबमिट करो, आपका अपना प्रेरोगेटिव हो। तो
क्योंकि मैं ऐसी जगह फंसा हूँ जहाँ सोर्सेज कम है ना, इस वजह से।
आप थ्योरी क्लियर कर लो अपनी, प्रैक्टिकल धीरे धीरे लिखते रहो, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
ठीक है सर, थैंक यू।
हाँ जी, और कोई? एनीवन एल्स?
Thank you, Dr. Saab.
Thank you. Tomorrow again we are looking to you. We are meeting to you. Bye bye. Have a nice day.
Same to you, sir.